and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. We are live and on location at our Mastermind VIP retreat in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
My voice is a little hoarse because we've been having a really good time. We went and had some tacos and bowling last night. It was very neat.
It was neat.
So anyways, I'm joined by John in a room full of people that we will introduce here in a moment. But John, how are you doing?
I'm also a little hoarse, a little emotional being here. No, I'm super stoked. This is really cool to see faces in the room. We don't get to do a lot of live stuff, so it's a little weird. And it's a little weird because we're never in the same room when we record. You shouldn't, but you can. Yes, you can. Yeah. No, I'm really excited to be here in Denver. The altitude, voices are kind of weird. We've been screaming a lot, but we're excited. That's all.
Yeah. Neat. So, we are here with our VIP retreat. And one of the things that we wanted to do was, give them an opportunity to kind of have a roundtable discussion and just kind of talk and ask us questions, and we could help them. They could help each other. And we thought, why not just sit down and record it? And so give everyone kind of a peek behind the curtain, so to speak, of what's going on here. So that is going to be our podcast episode for today.
Yes, that is neat. And we've been doing some film reviews this morning. We've got like 6 or 7 companies represented here that are in our mastermind, but also up the ante to become like VIP in the mastermind, so they get an extra fun retreat. So
sure.
Anyway, we've been hanging out. We just ate some Chipotle, so if we burp up a little bit, it's just part. We're not taking that. We're not stopping. If you know what I'm saying. Also, we have someone here from not America that had never had a taco until yesterday, and I got to watch it happen. And I want to play-by-play later. But anyway, all right. So we have some microphones out in the crowd, and we're going to start over here on this side. Maybe introduce yourself, and if you do have a question, hit us with it.
Yeah, yes. And we are going to jump into these Q&As. Right now, let's jump into it.
Do it.
It seems like there are new cameras and equipment coming out all of the time. It gets increasingly confusing and the FOMO is real. John and I have been preaching for years that the best way to try out new gear is to rent before you buy. There is only one place that we recommend when it comes to renting, and that is our friends over at Lens Rentals. Lens Rentals is the premier source for renting not only camera equipment, but lenses, drones, projectors, and more. Do you have a big project coming up and you really need to wow your couple? Wanting to test out the newest camera before you drop thousands on it? You need Lens Rentals. My favorite thing is that if I love something I rent, I can keep it. They apply a portion of the rental fee to the purchase price, and within a few simple clicks, the gear is mine. So head over to howtofilmweddings.com/lensrentals and use promo code HTFW15 at checkout for 15% off of your order. Lens Rentals, the only place we recommend renting.
We are back. We're going to jump into our Q&A. Who is going to go first? We're going to start over here with Randy. Randy, introduce yourself.
Randy from Hall's Photo Video. We're based out of Savannah, Georgia. My question is, when you're going to do your destination couples and you're talking about pricing and how you roll in your pricing to the couple with travel, or do you lump it all together as one package? What have you found is the best techniques in pricing that out so that they don't get the shock of the cost of the destination wedding, but also the travel as well?
That's a really good question, and it's one that seems to be popping up quite a lot in our Facebook groups and some other places. So I got some advice early on from some filmmaker that did a lot of travelers, photographer, I can't remember exactly. And they said, we always roll up the entire price into the quote. And, the reason that we do that is a few. Number one, then we're not nickel and diming them. They know exactly what it costs up front. And then we can book it, and, then we can do whatever we want to do with that. So if we want to spend a little bit more and, bump up our plane tickets or stay in a nicer hotel or whatever, and it's not like we're, giving them an unexpected, ticket on top of the price or something like that. So one thing that we always do with our emails with that, and that does make, we basically have a base price for what it would be locally, which is I think $8,500, $8,000 on our website. And so I know that that's my base number. And then whenever I get an inquiry, depending on how far away it is, I'll real quick look at flights, kind of look up kind of car rental, that sort of stuff we would need. And then I get kind of a good base. Okay, this is probably going to be about $3,000 or $3,500 for all of these expenses. And so I add 10 or 15% to that number. And then I roll it all up and said, here's what it is. And then I'm sure to put in my initial quote, hey, it's going to be $11,000 with all travel included. So it's still a high number. And I think that is shocking to people. But at the same time, if they sit down and they like start thinking about all of it and realize, oh, like travel is in that. So that's an extra $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever it may be that's just rolled into the price. So that's how we handle it. John, is yours the same? Is yours different?
Similar and different. But yeah, like I think another thing you have to ask yourself with the travel is more so how badly do I want this? And if it's like Tuscany, it's different than Iowa. Sorry. I'm just kidding. Iowa's super rad. Just kidding. To all the Iowans that listen. All of the whole state listened. Anyway, okay. So my Iowans are laughing. Yeah, good, great. So just thinking through, especially like where you are in your business, matters a lot. Like if you're charging $2,000 for films, and like it says $2,000 on your website, and there's $4,000 of travel. I mean, you might package it a little differently. So if you're in that range where you're like trying to get into travel, you might say something like what Nick has done over the last few years, or I've done, like where I went to Italy and charged like $5,000 total to get to go just because I wanted to go. I mean, that's a different question, but wrapping it into that bundle and just say like the way you package it, similar to how I was joking with you guys yesterday about like just when we were talking and packaging it in a way that's a positive spin on it is like, hey, this is the amount and I've already done all the work for you. There's no extra charges. You're not going to have to pay per diem. You're not going to have to pay for, I'm handling all that, and I'll mess with flights. I'll do all that stuff so you don't have to deal with it. And I've added a better rate than my local rate and try to make it a little bit, everything's bundled in there. And so maybe if it says 8,500 on Nick's site and he really wants it, he might say 9,500 or 10,000 instead of 11, take a little bit off of like the profit that he would have got at home because he really wanted it. Or if it was somewhere you didn't want, you could just give them the full price, and if they, say yes, then you get that. So, good question.
That was a good question.
Neat question.
Yeah.
All right, let's head over. Yeah, one over here. Yep.
I'm Noah Wynn. I'm 1/3 of the Soul Collective. We're based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. My question is for each of you, what was the biggest mindset shift when maybe you started pricing out of what you would personally be able to afford? I guess like kind of I know you've talked on imposter syndrome a little bit, but kind of speaking to that a little bit more, like.
Do you want me to go?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
So I think a lot of us don't realize it in the mentor sessions we do with people or the conversations we have with people is that like you have a limiting belief, like a limit of what you think you're worth. And Nick said it a lot. I've said it a lot, but like, you're only worth what you're willing to ask somebody to pay you, and then they say yes, and so nobody is ever going to be like, 4,000, that's what you charge? Can we go ahead and pay you 7,000? Like it just doesn't, nobody does that. Like you're not going to the store and saying, hey, I don't want this thing. Can I pay some more? It's nice. And so really getting out of your own way, like there is that lid that you have. It's like, well, I wouldn't pay more than that for a wedding film. But I think that if you're not in a place like of being a little uncomfortable with your prices at all time, like you should always be like, this is uncomfortable. My starting price is uncomfortable for me right now. Like it's not comfortable at all for me to be starting at this rate. I remember switching from 3,500 to 4,950 was like my starting price. And I was just like sweating bullets, like 4,950. Oh my gosh. Like if anyone ever books this is ridiculous. Like that was my starting. And then someone booked like an $8,000 thing. And like, confidence happens over time when you slowly can make those increments or whatever, but like getting uncomfortable, start with, and then like not faking it till you make it, but like you will build confidence. Once you taste that, like somebody is willing to pay, like you get mad at like the previous version of you. Whereas the first time that once I started raising my prices over that bubble for me, which was like over 5,000, and people were like, yeah, 6,000 is great. 7,000, like at that point they didn't care. I was just so mad at myself. And I think that it's more so focusing on like how mad you really should be at yourself for not charging. What, does that make sense? Kind of like, I mean, that's mindset shift for me is like really thinking about the opportunity cost or the thing that I feel like I'm rambling. Nick, go.
I think I was, when I did a mentorship a long time ago with Sarah from Penn Weddings, and she said, you can tell me all day long that you're a $10,000 videographer, But if the highest wedding you've ever booked is $4,500, you're a $4,500 videographer. Okay. You might think in your mind you are a higher number, but if no one has paid you that high number, you are not that. You are the highest price that someone has paid you. And I think so many of us start booking, we're raising our prices, and maybe you're at the 4,000, 4,500, 5,000, and you're having this imposter syndrome, like I can't raise my prices because you're getting in the way of yourself. But you're not thinking about, no, I've had 15 weddings and all of them have paid me over $5,500, but you still have this mindset of, oh, I'm only worth $2,200, or I'm only worth, whatever. And you don't look back at the work that you've done and what people have paid you to determine what you should do forward. You're stuck back in, 5 years ago when I started, or 3 years ago when I started, I was charging this. And like, that's kind of the mindset that you're in. So I think sitting there and looking at your current amount of booking, and if you're consistently booking at a certain price, it's not, if they can afford you at $5,500, they can afford you at $6,000. Now they can afford you. Can they afford you at $8,000? That's a different conversation, but you can slowly, raise that up and up a little bit. So I think that just being mindful of the stuff that you have booked and where you are currently to go forward a little bit with that.
My only little last piece of advice while you're talking made me think is like similar to just like getting more comfortable at like the gym, or getting more comfortable like doing, like you have to be that thing before you're that. So you have to say, I am this. Now I'm going to work backwards. It's like 50-day plan to success, day 49, go kind of thing. Where if you're like, I am this is the number, this is the goal, I'm putting this up in front of me, this is where I want to start. What do those kinds of people do? What does their website look like? I'm looking around like you get more comfortable. Like I just raised my starting prices to $12,500 and it scares the crap out of me. Right. But like, I am not as good as other people that are charging that much, right? And I'm there. That's where I'm at right now, and it's like, so and so's films are better. So and so's. It's like my website is killer. My branding is killer. I have weddings to back it up on. Like everything says that, but I still have to like get comfortable in that. Mm-hmm. And like I launched the new website and it said starting at $12,500, and somebody like 2 weeks later booked a $17,000 wedding, and I was like, oh hot dang, like this is crazy, like why or how? And then a few weeks later somebody else booked an $18,000 wedding, and then somebody booked over a $20,000 wedding, and it was like every single one of those obviously gave me like a bump in confidence to be like, well, maybe 12.5 is just like, that sounds super low compared to, and it's just getting comfortable with that thing and getting used to being in that, and like slowly raising that altitude. That's all.
That's good. That's good. Somebody else, do you guys, any back here got a question? Jason, you got one? You
just want to work around?
Well, we can, but if someone over here had a question.
Oh, there's a mic over there. I forgot.
Yeah.
You guys. Sure.
Okay. Hello, I'm Jason from Afterglow Weddings, and I had my first taco last night.
How was the taco? How was your first taco?
It was an experience. Yeah. Guys, it was a messy experience, but
he like crunched it before he picked it up. It like turned into a mush in his hand. He's like scooping it back together. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was an experience. So I want to really improve my customer experience before the wedding. Obviously, once they book, and then the wedding happens, there's not much that happens in between that. What kind of advice would you give to enhance the experience before the wedding?
This sounds like a really good question for the creator of the Wedding Videographer's Upsell Guide.
The what?
The Wedding Videographer's Upsell Guide.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question back. So right now, somebody books you, like you're talking about between booking and the wedding, what can you do to like enhance the experience? What do you do now?
So currently they have questionnaire that kind of lets me get to know them a bit better. They'll get a gift, Starbucks voucher, something like that. And then maybe about 2 months before the wedding, we'll do another call, make sure that we're all on the same page, let them get hyped about their wedding. But that's kind of essentially it just now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really just like changing your mindset towards them as like now they're part of the family, and like how much more you can get to know them, how you can like enhance the experience. So one of the things I do is like a few days after the wedding, it's like an auto templated type of email goes out saying like, hey, vendors are really important. I know everybody. or I can help you find people that would match, knowing, like, to save you time from having to go like find 40 meetings with a photographer or a florist or whatever. Tell me a little bit about this, and I can point you the direction of like the 2 that you should consider, or like just now we're serving them. And so that's like the first thing that I do. It's just like, what's the next on your list? Who can I connect you with? That's 2 things. It helps you help them, but it also helps you connect with other vendors, which is great mojo. But like, following them on social media, connecting with them there, sending them messages, whatever. But if you want to go next level with that, like, you could literally kind of creep on them, find out what's important to them. Like, if they're really big fans of a certain sports team or whatever, you could give them a gift, you could do different things. But it's really just being available during that time and letting them know. Like, the best way I serve them is like, let them know this is what's going to happen with me. Here is my number if you need anything at all from me. But like, right from, they're booking a year out. It's like, I'm here. Here's some vendor recommendations. Here's my number. But like, I'm not going to bug you, but you can bug me as often as you want. Mm-hmm. And so like, that's the first part. I can tell you have something to say, my bearded friend.
Well, so one thing that we actually just recently added to our questionnaire is, we want to send them a welcome gift after they book with us. And we had our designer put together like an actual like little like 12-page book that talks about the importance of wedding video, things to think about, help them figure out their values and their story and that kind of thing. But we put it a question in our inquiry form that just asks them what their favorite date night restaurant is. So now I have that information, and it's, kind of just sandwiched in there as a prove to me you're not a robot kind of idea, so now whenever we have that welcome box, we know what the restaurant is. So Jen just gets a gift card from their favorite restaurant and puts that in the box and sends it to them. So it's something, it's only in, $25, $50, something like that, but it's a nice touch. And like, oh, how did they know that? Like, how do they know that? And here we have this information. Another thing that, and of course, I think that the more your pricing goes up, the more that you should be thinking about client gift experience, that sort of stuff. And so one thing that we have started doing for this year is we were really purposeful. We did not want to step on any photographer's toes. And so we are doing, all this destination work, and Jen found this website where you can get nice framed pictures printed and stuff. And so we are taking our photo camera and taking photos of the destination where they are getting married. And so it's a photo, but it's not of the couple, so it wouldn't step on any photographer's toes or anything like that. But like for our South Africa one, we just did this nice one of the beach, with the mountains in the background and that kind of stuff. In Tahoe, where we were just at, I flew my drone up and I, shot a raw photo and just, of the lake and, that kind of stuff, printing that thing off. And then after their film is delivered, everything, then we send them a thank you for being our client gift. And we're going to include that image in there, probably with another gift card or something like that. So just being thinking it through. There are a few websites where you can actually get like custom boxes put together that'll have like gummies or like gummy bears candy, not the Colorado kind of gummies. A blanket, a date night. No, are we cutting that out? We should. I don't know what we should do. You might be able to get Colorado gummies in those boxes. I don't know. Anyways, you can send them little treats, Starbucks gift card, that kind of stuff, all in a box. Just be, thinking, oh, what will they enjoy? What will they like? That kind of stuff.
I think that people people really appreciate when they can feel your heart, and that's different for every business. So for me, I'm really leaning into certain things or whatever, like finding little ways. It's just what I do as a human. It's like find little ways to connect with each little bit of like, yes.
I had a thought specifically for you. Okay. With your branding, if you need to go check out, it's Afterglow Weddings, right? Okay. Go check out Jason's website. It's incredible. But I think it would be really cool if you sent them a mix CD or a cassette tape or something like that.
Glow sticks.
Yeah. But of like just something that, could be on brand for you. And like one gift could be just stock, goes to everybody, but then you can maybe personalize it with something else. But if you're like, here's a cassette tape, and people are like, cool. What do I do at this? Because how do you play? But there's something that could be very on brand for what you do. That was a thought that I just
think people are not intentional about that side of things, where it's just like, oh, I'll get to that later, or
they've booked me, so what does it matter?
Yeah, and every time that we've ever sent a gift, they always post about it on social. Like the karma is great on stuff like that. But yeah, the more that like I had a couple that was really into CrossFit one time, so I like sent them like they were really into dogs, as like their dogs specifically as well. So I sent them like a barbell like hey, okay, anyway. So I sent them like a barbell dog toy, right? Because it just like they were like, oh my gosh, that we love our dog, and we like that kind of stuff. But I don't think you have to go even into your pocketbooks or anything. Like something personal, just a handwritten letter, anything is really cool. But just thinking through, these people are my family now. I've thought of, like, if you think about them between now and the wedding, shoot them a message. Hey, I don't know why, I'm just thinking about you. Is there anything I can do for you? Like, have you gone on a date in a while? Like, one time there was a bride I was talking to, and she was like, yeah, I'm just stressing. The wedding's in 10 days. My house is a mess. So I paid for a house cleaner just to go clean her house. Like, but she freaking loved me. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, like this is so good. And they weren't paying me a ton back then, but it was just more like, I'm going to treat you like I would if like a family member was getting married. What does that mean to you? And you do have experience that they don't. You can help them with timelines. You can help them with like just that overall experience of, my goal with my couples is I want you to have the best experience possible. We're going to ask the hard questions beforehand. We're going to know everything about you. We're going to walk, like everything is serving them so that on their day, there's no like as little stress as possible, but they can soak in those real moments. So like that might mean like soaking in your real moments is really important to me. So what does that mean? How can I use that? How can I use my brand? So anyway.
Cool.
Neat. Good question.
Yeah, good one. Someone else have one?
I'm Trey with Daewoo Films. Me and Jordan have Daewoo Films together from Louisiana, Thibodaux, which is right by New Orleans. And I'm gonna kind of ask a question that's for like the newer audience, because I know a lot of us are really experienced. So we're only a year into our, less than that, but a year into our wedding filmmaking business. But how do you really get the most out of the locations and the clients that you get at the lower price range? So like he talked about how I didn't get enough establishing or whatever, but the place just wasn't great. They didn't have a second day. We didn't go take them to do anything, and our town just isn't, pretty. So how do we make the how do we make the most out of it so that we can still attract those higher end clients that keep building, but also knowing that this is where we're at now and making the best of it?
So like if I were starting in your exact position, like in Thibodaux, is that what it is? Louisiana, and sorry, it's a Chipotle. Ooh, that's good. Second time.
I'm just kidding.
Not that good. That's incredible though. That's the intro for the episode. Okay, so the wedding we watched of yours, like you were like for the people listening, we just did some film reviews. Your film it's like they didn't see each other till after dark, or they didn't. And what I look at is like you could spend money to grow and invest into your business, but at the beginning you have to invest more time, right? That time, it could look like a lot of things. It could look like, hey guys, we're going to hook you up. We're going to do a sunset portrait shoot the week before, the week after, the day before, whenever. Just the two of you. We're going to record your story, like anything, extra stuff, elbow grease, working hard. And it's like the sunset is pretty no matter where you're at. You get some low light, you get that, backlit buttery goodness, that kind of stuff. You get to know them better, that kind of thing. So you could take them out on another shoot if you didn't feel like you got enough, that sort of a thing. But the other thing I think that you could do if the venue's not what you really want, or if you're giving them something for free, you can control what you're giving them. And so it's like, let's go to this cool spot, let's do this, whatever. But if you're giving them like a 5-minute film like we just saw, you might make a 20-second film that's the one that it's just your best of your best of your best shots, and that's it. Like you can use that, and like it is a cycle. You go around another year, but you're like upward cycle up, and you could be at these weddings making connections and those sort of things or whatever. But as you're like investing extra time, it's like, who do you think is the next step for you to work with? Have that written out as like kind of your goals list of like, if we could, and if you don't know who that is, you have to do homework. But it's like, if I could work with this photographer, that would be great, or this planner in my area or whatever. And like, figure out where is the bridge between you and that person, not just a cold call, but like, who do I know that they know, or how can I, but you could invest dollars into shoots with, a photographer that you really want, paying a photographer to take photos of you with your cameras, but also bring a couple, you might know on Facebook or something, or post a model call and like just do stuff like shoot, motion, anything you can do, just keep getting those reps in. That's like how, if I were starting today, it's just like, ooh, this is a great photographer. I'm going to pay them a few $100 to like go on the shoot with me. Or because a lot of times I think wedding planners, photographers, it's just like people reach out and it's like, how can I get something from you? And so if you change that around to like, how can I really serve people? I think that's my advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would say maybe early on really honing in on how you are shooting things and trying to think of a way, all right, right now I'm a $1,500 videographer. How can I make this look like a $3,000 videographer filmed it? And, maybe that's camera angles. Maybe that's how you're using light. Maybe that's, you film an interview and you do it in a room and there's all this stuff in the background. A more expensive videographer is going to know, I need to clean all this stuff up. I need to make sure you're in the right light. And like thinking forward that way a little bit will help propel you. So then you can take something that is lower budget as far as the budget of the wedding itself, but film it in a higher level to push you up that way.
Yeah, when I was building, like I would get so stingy with the kinds of shots that I would put in any films that was going to go on. Like if it didn't speak to the next step for me, I didn't put it on the internet for on my channels or anything like that. And they're usually like, if you're booking, like how many weddings do you have this year? None. Okay. So if like you end up booking 5 or 10, it's like of those, 1 or 2 of those would be like, these are the weddings that we really want to use to market for next year. And I always like, it's the whole mindset of like, before I'm the 3,000 or 5,000 or whatever, or before my films look like this person's or the art is this way, I have to believe I'm that and then do the things. So you might go extra all out on, this is going to be the biggest wedding we have this year. Let's bring in an extra person to do some drone stuff, or an extra ceremony person, or like you might lose money on the wedding, but it's a great marketing investment into, it's not what you're always going to do. It's just you're stopping by on the way. And so I just remember really dissecting the people that I love their films. And it was like, I'm going to take these kinds of shots. I'm gonna have these kind of notes. And you just keep doing that over time and it cycles upward.
Should we be picky with who we're choosing to shoot, since we're in a place where we don't rely on this necessarily for an income? So like, should we be picky with who we're taking, or should we take it and just make the best out of it?
I think you guys personally are in a really unique situation because you don't need the income, but yet you're also building. And so it's really, really hard. I would say, for knowing a little bit about who you guys are, it's probably more important for you guys to get the reps in and shoot a little bit more, and then just maybe be a little more stingy with what you put out and what you share with the world. But I think it's going to be beneficial for you guys to maybe take weddings that aren't your weddings, just so you can get in and you can shoot and you know what to do in different situations.
If you said, hey, we already have 20 weddings booked, I would say,
yeah, I think it's a different story. But with you only shooting a handful and then having nothing right now, I would say do more for reps. Say that like even in like any wedding, if you're there for 8 hours, it's going to be hard not to get like 5 to 10 really good shots. Mm-hmm. That then can each be their own reel for Instagram. And if you had, a wedding every other week for the summer or something, 10 weddings over the summer, it's like you could show up all like every other day, every few days with a reel here or a highlight there, or, like mixing up, these are our favorite first looks of you can, like, even if they are not there are moments that are your ideal moments, but you don't even know what those are until you're getting the reps in. And like Nick is saying, like, you could take these weddings, learn how to treat people, learn all this stuff, and they are not your ideal clients at all. And you don't show much of that. You don't push any of that, but you serve them well, and they are getting a lower price because you're newer. So like, there's not as much expectation, and so you're getting paid to build your portfolio, which is pretty cool because most companies don't get that. Yeah. Good question. That's good.
Does the Collective Soul have any more questions?
So my name is Sophia. I'm 1/3 of Soul Collective. So like sometimes I feel like it's really hard for me to get into an edit. Just kind of more imposter syndrome and being like, how do I get from like A to B sometimes? And I was just wondering if you have like any inspiration or advice on like how to even like get into the storyline of everything, because I sometimes just feel like it's like more overwhelming to have so much going on. So
that's a really good question. The thing that I would suggest that I tell everyone to do before you even start editing anything, make sure you're going through and culling through all your footage, so the clips that you have. Make sure you're listening through all of the audio bites and like the sound bites and stuff. Jen and I usually do pick our music before we really start that process, but I do know that sometimes I have selected music, and then as I'm listening to the toasts again, I know, okay, we had planned on doing this thing here, but like this song just won't work now that I've gone back and listened to it. So not really being solid on the music until I'm like ready to start my actual edit. The very first thing that I always do, instead of just starting at the very beginning and going, is I will find the points of the music where I know where I want specific events to happen. So if there's a build and like, okay, it's an emotional moment, I was like, okay, we're going to have that emotional toast or that first look, or this is where bride's coming down the aisle, or this is where this is happening, whatever. And then kind of piecing in those moments. So it kind of helps drive me. Also, outside of, a cold open or jumping around with toasts or like couple stuff, we're fairly chronological with our edit. And that helps me if I know this is where bride is coming down the aisle. Now I know I have 3 minutes from when I show up to have her come down the aisle. Because I've been in edits before where I just start going and I'm 4.5 minutes into the song. We're not to the ceremony and it's a 5-minute song, So that can kind of help you do that a little bit. What is there anything?
I have lots of things.
Okay.
That's all very good stuff. But
Thank you.
I have good things too.
My stuff was probably better.
Maybe, yeah.
Probably better.
So like calling your footage first, of course, and then finding like 2 or 3 songs that you feel like could be the song. On a getting into the edit mode, be fresh, go outside, get some fresh air first, like just get in a mood, music on, just like getting you kind of prepared. It is very similar to me. It's very similar to me of like the hardest to do is to like get on the treadmill and start, like it's harder to get yourself going. Once you're on it, it's like, oh, I'm going to work out every day. Like I'm here for it. I'm going to be so fit. I'm like, you get into it and you're like, I'm here. The other thing I was going to say, I was listening to the Office Ladies podcast the other day, and BJ Novak, who is Ryan, was on. He was talking about directing his first episode and advice he got for directing. And I thought that this was really good advice. And he said that like he got the advice to like close your eyes and watch the film before you start. Just like close your eyes and like, the footage, like if you've culled the footage already, it's like, I know that this is here. I know that it's like, turn the music on, close your eyes, just watch the film with your eyes closed. Haven't put anything on the timeline yet. And it's like, oh, this is built and this is cool. And like do that a few times and that will help you get like stoked on, ooh, we could put this here. Like, and then using that same stuff with like, I know I want that build to go here. I want this. Oh, I could hear seagulls here. I could do that. Like, this is the film. And the film in your head if you do that. And so I thought that's really good advice. Nick, Blake, the producer, told me that we need to go to break. So we're going to do that. So we'll be back after this break. Nick and I have to tell you about one of our favorite places to upload our wedding films, and that is Love Stories TV. Love Stories TV is one of the best free resources for us wedding filmmakers. The best part is they are bringing the couples to us. All we have to do is upload our films and we are good to go. Upload unlimited wedding films to your completely free business page. Setup is easy and your films can be live in just minutes. Now is the perfect time to start uploading to Love Stories TV. So head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/lovestoriestv to check out all of the details and see how Love Stories TV is giving away $10,000 in cash to wedding filmmakers just like you. That's howtofilmweddings.com/lovestoriestv to start uploading and connecting with the right couples today.
Hi, it's Michael from Wedditor. We want to thank everyone for the incredible support we've received since sponsoring How to Film Weddings. Yes, we've had some growing pains, but we've had far more wins. And we're doing something that's never been done. We're a remote team of over 50 editors in 10 countries. I often joke that we're as much a logistics company as we are a creative company. Right now, demand is off the charts. And we don't just say yes to everyone and scramble to figure it out. That's why we're asking you to help us help more of you. In short, we're looking for more talented Wedditors. Part-time or full-time, work from where you want, when you want, as long as you hit deadlines and deliver quality. It's a chance to get paid while growing as an editor. Our project managers work with you, explaining why something feels right or doesn't, because there's always a reason. If you're interested, we'd love to hear from you. Go to wedditor.com/editor and fill out our form.
All right, we are back from break. We actually took a break, which was neat. You're taking a deep breath. We were on the break, and I started answering a question for Sophia, and I was like, wait, we gotta, so what were you saying again? What was
She needs a microphone. If she's going to talk, she needs a microphone. Okay.
Yeah. You were saying, that you're a procrastinator, and
I was a procrastinate edit. So, I can't get into an edit, and I'll start it, and then I'll wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then I'll jump into it and just full blast edit, and
That's right. And so last night we were bowling and spending time with some cool Denver people, and Catherine from Blink was talking, or maybe it was the day before, I can't remember. It's all blending in, but basically just talking about how we have to be aware that in our business we're creating. We're being creative, and there's only so much of that you can give before you need to recharge and refill yourself. And think that we just think we have to keep being creative and being but there's only so much of that you can give, and that if we don't make note of that, we just think everybody else is just able to power through edits and if you're not feeling it, there's a difference between I don't want to do it and I am burnt out of being creative. There's just a difference, that's all. I just wanted to throw that out there because I think that's really important for mental health and for all of us just to realize, oh wow, we are giving part of our soul to this edit. We're pouring into it. We're doing all this extra work. We're trying to tell these stories, these memories. And so, yeah, it's just very important. It made you yawn. It was that good.
It was very, very good. Thank you so much for sharing that wisdom.
Yeah. Okay.
That came out sarcastic. I didn't mean sarcastic.
It felt like it. Yeah. Felt like it. All right. So we're going to head on over for the last couple questions before we go film some stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Who are you?
All right. I'm Ashley from Ashley Renee Studios, and I'm here with my husband, Eric. And our question is about maybe a specific marketing techniques. So we have really select availability left, but they're dates that we really want to fill. So what would be the best approach for getting those dates filled?
Mr. Marketer?
Okay. So how many dates are there?
So right now we have one in June and one in July.
Okay. Couple of things that come to mind immediately is just who are you connected with that might have weddings on those days that you could ask them if they have a couple, if you're friends with a wedding planner, or sending a message to the 5 or 6 planners, hey, we're really wanting to fill June 1st, whatever. We get that, this date and this date. I didn't know if you had a couple that was awesome that might be interested, whatever. I don't know if you're wanting to just fill them at full price or fill them for reps or fill them. So reaching out to specific photographers, florists, anybody that's in the industry. The other thing is using your social media and your following to say, hey, these are the 2 dates we have available. If you know somebody that wants these, using your social media. Those were the first things that came to my mind. There's no right or wrong thing to do necessarily, but getting on your stories, just saying, hey, we have 2 spots left. We're looking for a wedding in June. We're looking for this. If you know anybody, we're willing to, hook you up, whatever. I don't know the vibe that you're trying to go for with it, but it's really hard to just fill in this specific date without some type of incentive or.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's great. You're smart. Good idea.
Yeah, I know.
Blake, anything to add to that? Blake, the editor, producer is good. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like the only other thing, like I'm just trying to think through what I would do if I was trying to specifically do that. And I think it's.
I really think that connecting with other professionals in the area, like that's probably you're in with, photo or planner or, something like that could have a little poll or would know a little information about that. Is
venues.
Those are probably going to be your best ins. Rather than just posting, hey, we have June 1st available or just came available, I don't know.
One of the things that I would do on it is to really promote it up like it's a big deal that you have those dates like left available, instead of selling it as like, oh, we have these dates that we have to fill, instead to kind of like flip the script on it and market it as we only have these couple of dates available, and then market that out to like other vendors and say, hey, we only have these 2 dates available. This is it. This is all we're taking, and just kind of create that scarcity around it. We're really lead heavy. Like we like to get a lot of inquiries. Like we don't have pricing on our website for that reason. So even going back through all of your inquiries to see if you've maybe got something for that date before and they just didn't follow up. And then if you do have something, then it's just like you hit those people with everything you have until they say no. And I think that's a problem that we have a lot of times is we're so worried on getting to yes with some of these things that we're not getting to no on them, right? Is not even getting people to tell us no. We'll just like get ghosted or just like leave it out there floating in the air and not let anything happen to it. So if you want to fill the dates, that's what I would do.
I think the problem is we do have a certain amount of exclusivity but our schedule is filled with other obligations. So it's like we want to generate a lot of inquiries, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense because that's a lot of no's that we'll be saying. So that's kind of.
I mean, I think you can use your contact form to like say, these are the days we have available. So it like, oh, I'm not going to contact you because you're not available on that day. Or like having a graphic with your calendar with things marked out except for like this date and this date. And then like what Blake was saying is like really pushing like, hey guys, this year's been incredible. Like we're almost out of spots. We're going to take 2 more. We have an opening in June. We have an opening here. If you are engaged or somebody that it is. But even with all of that, like just the randomness of those specific dates and the niche of what you do and like the cost of what it is, it's a difficult ask. I mean, it really is. So, but yeah, going back through like what Blake was saying, like your previous
really
leads.
That was really good.
That's a great idea. I said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Construct the mic, but they're kind of expensive.
Yeah, good idea.
So my name's Darian. I'm with DE Media Design, and maybe you don't even have an answer to this question, but I was kind of curious, like, what's your pre-wedding routine and your post-wedding routine? Like, how do you get inspired before, and then how do you unpack the day and like everything that went on after?
Jen and I went through a time where we've been doing it long enough, and so before the wedding we just go and film and not really think about it, and we just do what we always do. And then as we're reviewing our footage or we're getting our films, we're like, it's missing something. Or, you're like, Nick, you say on all the calls that, we want to make something that's unique to them, but why are you filming everything exactly the same way every single time? That sort of stuff. And so we've started watching other wedding films, not just from an inspirational standpoint to look at the different kind of shots. Like I like watching a lot of people from Europe with how they are filming, because it's a little bit different than it is here is in the United States. Just like the couple stuff exactly, and how they're following around, and the details that they're getting with them. It's really inspirational, and just thinking a little outside of the box of how a lot of people do it here. And so that's one thing that Jen and I have started doing morning of, if we have time, or the night before. And our new rule is we're both coming with 2 poses during couple time that we have never used before, and trying stuff. But I mean, we have all the stuff that we always do just as safety, but like, what are the 2 things, Nick, that you are going to try? Jen, what are the 2 things that you are going to try on this wedding while everything is going on, so that we can be fresh a little bit? So that's being inspired by that was helpful. And like I was just putting the finishing touches on our we just shot in Tahoe. And whenever we were there, I was just really inspired. I saw a bunch of shots about like pretty landscape in focus with a couple out of focus. And so when I put their teaser together, like it was like almost every single shot of the couple that I put in the teaser was that, where the stuff in the background was in focus and they were out of focus. And Jim was like, I think you went overboard. Like, I think you swung too hard the other way. So, just being mindful, I guess, is where I'm going back around on that. Whenever you are inspired, not to overdo it. It's like whenever I first got a slider when I started 10 years ago, and every single shot was left to right, right to left, left to left. Like it was just back and forth. You know, you got like ping pong, you know, watching back and forth. And so overdoing that new thing. So I'm rambling a lot, but that is one thing that we have started doing that has helped me kind of keep it fresh a little bit on a wedding day. And we usually eat Chick-fil-A before we go film a wedding. I don't know why. Like usually we do.
I have thoughts. Where do I start? Like for me, I love having our final meeting with the couple on the week of the wedding, if possible, like so that they are fresh in my mind.
Okay, but
like,
with my only question with that is like, don't you feel like that's adding one more thing to a very stressful week for them?
Yes.
That's why I always feel like I need to do it like way more.
Yes, I send them a request 3 weeks out and say, hey, between now and the wedding, we really is our final meeting. And I've talked to them about this and told them how it's going to work since a year beforehand. And so like, I like to meet, like I have a wedding next weekend, not this weekend, but the following. And so, I am meeting with the couple like 7 or 8 days before via Zoom. They have gotten their questionnaire. We walk through it. We get really excited about the wedding. We dream, we get excited. And like the next wedding is that one. And so I have like a week to be thinking about that couple at least and what I'm going to do and thinking through the venue. And like I walk through the entire day in my head. Like I pull up the timeline and I literally walk through it and I say, I'm going to get there and I'm going to do this. I'm going to use this lens, the sunset. Okay, that's when that's that. I'm going to try that. Like I just walk through the whole day in my head. I think about who the photographer is. I think about, like I just walk through all those things so they're really fresh on my mind. I don't watch too many films or anything like that personally. More so just thinking about like their story and who and why people are important. A lot of times I'm doing the rehearsal dinner the night before as well, so it's like I'm in there in that mode and I give everything I have to that couple like with that weekend or whatever. And so that's the pre-side of things. Like I drink a ton of water, I am like up early, I try to exercise a little bit, like just little things like that. I do not eat Chick-fil-A. I don't know how you move. That's the pre stuff. I do have some post stuff. Blake wants to talk about post stuff as well, so do you want me to tell my post stuff first, or do you want to? As the wedding is getting closer to the end, I noticed myself getting home and like not being able to wind down for like 4 hours or something. Like all that, like my ears would be ringing, like my chest is pounding. Like I just like my family is asleep. I get home and everybody's like I'm tiptoeing around and I'm just like I need to calm down or whatever. I bought some like $50 earplugs last year. And I start putting those in at the reception, and they're noise canceling, but I can still hear people talking. And that changed everything for me, like just earplugs. That's so random, but I put those in at the reception, and it's not like too loud. It's not too intense on my body. And so like I get like it is a physical cue for me to like not let myself get too excited, because like all my footage is way crazy. I'm like going nuts. I'm like, like doing all this stuff. Instead, it like helps me stay in the moment more and remind me of me being in my job. So after the wedding is over, getting all that stuff, depending on if there's a drive, I like Coldplay and I like Cigaros for like the calm down. Cigaros, I don't know how to say it. But I am focused on the landing of the plane, like at the start of the reception, but like those cues anyway. And so that's how I'm calming down like after, so that I know that wasn't necessarily what you're asking, but anyway.
So I have a fun post thing that I do that was a really big game changer for us. So we've all spent the 2, 4 hour, 8 hours, 15 days trying to find music for a film. one of the things that I do, so most of my weddings are 2 hours away from where I live. So I have a 2-hour drive home most nights, unless we get a hotel or have the couple get us a hotel. But one of the things that we do is we use the Music Bed app. Shout out to Music Bed, sponsor of this podcast. Love you guys. And I will start to listen through like playlists and different things as I'm on my way home from the wedding that I just shot. So like the energy of that day is still really fresh on my mind. The quirkiness of the couple, or the style, or the mood, or like it's really, really, really fresh. So I'll jump in though, and like as I'm going, I'll just be sitting there liking songs as I'm going through and finding them, and then I'll save them to a specific playlist or project there in the app. And then when it comes time for me to start editing, I can pull that back up, and then I'll usually, if I have a second shooter or my wife with me, or I'll dictate it with Siri, like write down notes of like shots that I really, really, really liked, or things that sometimes I'll think of like a transition as I'm shooting it that might have to connect to another shot. You know, when I get into the edit, you know, a month from now or weeks from now, I don't remember that stuff anymore. So I'll just put that in like Evernote or the Notes app on my phone, and then go back to those. So that's been a post process that's really helped with me on the way home. And then we have a meal, like always. It's always the same one. Whataburger on the way home. It's usually after 11 o'clock. Honey butter chicken biscuit meal. Shout out to everybody that lives in the South and has ever had that before. If you haven't, find your way to one. They are delicious. But yeah, that was it.
I have to talk about this health. Okay. I used to eat Taco Bell after weddings. Terrible decision. No, like I really do think though that like you've had episode like with Jen on before about just like taking care of your body on the wedding day. Like really, like that's an entirely different thing. But just like pounding a ton of water during the day. Like I am always showering when I get home. Like I have like just taking care of myself so that like the next day I'm not just super dead or hungover.
If seriously, if you guys deal with the wedding day hangover, so many people do, drink water on the wedding day and you will not experience that the next day for the most part. I mean, like seriously, have a water bottle on you, drink. The moment whenever Jen and I realized that, and we bring tons of water to the wedding and we pound it on the wedding day. I mean, there are some times where it's just really hot or something happens, but the next day, so much better. Yes, my body's sore, but my head doesn't hurt. I'm okay to get up and walk around. Drink water. Right there, you're drinking water. Do it. There you go.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, does anybody have anything else that they've thought of that they want? It's good if not.
Nope.
We've been doing this for quite a minute. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good. I'll let you land the plane then.
Well, thank you all for being a part of this live VIP, Mastermind VIP, little Q&A podcast recording. For those of you listening at home, thanks for tuning in this week. I don't have anything else to add, so until next time, we'll see you.
See ya. Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films to your couples? Look no further. Our friends over at WedFlow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. WedFlow is pay per project with no large upfront cost or commitment, and you can cancel anytime. Not only that, WedFlow offers a premium viewing experience for your couples. Accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years hosting and an experience for your clients that will blow them away. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way and give your couples something to rave about. Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/WedFlow to check out WedFlow today.